today the very first session will be on changing learning spaces. So when we are talking about changing learning spaces today, the very first question that we all need to ask ourselves is that why we need to have world class campuses. Is it as per the policies changing? Is it the demand of the environment? Or is it that we need diverse kind of fundings, that is why we need world class campuses? Or do we have more student population, that is why we need, and the students are of course of different nature nowadays, so that is why we need a world class campus. So I hope that at the end of this particular session we come up with an answer that why we need world class campuses, and why in this particular program we have also kept one session on driving sustainability at higher educational institutions. So when it comes to the development of a world class campus, that message, that objective also comes into picture. So with this note, I'm going to start with this particular session, that is changing learning spaces, or we can say redefining learning spaces as per the demands of the different environmental factors surrounded us. So, when it comes to the changing learning spaces, the first thing that we need to understand is yesterday we have covered innovative pedagogical approaches, in which we have covered four different classifications. The very first one is teacher centered pedagogical approach. That is nothing but a visible pedagogy, means the teacher is going to organize the classes in a very structured manner where all amount of information is given by the faculty only. So that teacher centered classes are essential for the students when they are new to that particular system, when they are new to that branch of specialization. So teacher initially will go by the teacher centered pedagogical approaches. At a second stage, there is a requirement of student centered classroom, or we can say the progressive pedagogical approaches. That is invisible kind of pedagogical approaches where the teacher act as a facilitator and provide the information as an facilitator to the students in a class. So this kind of pedagogical approach is invisible pedagogy. The third approach is social connectivism in teaching learning, means the social skill is being developed among student population, and now the teacher is assigning activities, maybe in teams or maybe in group. And last one is liberalization in pedagogy. Liberalization means when you independently assign tasks and activities to the students and they are matured enough to complete those activities by their own. So that is an overview of the first lecture that we were discussing yesterday. So when it comes to these kind of classes, so when it's a teacher centered pedagogical approach, it is very easy for me as a faculty to engage such classes because control is with me. I am the leader of that particular class. If I want to verbally explain the content to the student, that is up to me. If I want to do some sort of activity based session, again that is again the teacher centered approach. Activity means where the teacher is defining each and every aspect of that particular activity. So control is with me. It is very easy for me to engage such kind of session. But when it comes to liberalization, when it comes to social connectivism, when it comes to a student led classroom environment, these classes require different kind of infrastructure, and the learning demands of these particular sessions may vary. So the first thing, as per instructional planning, whatever learning outcome or teacher intended objective you defined for your subject, it is the responsibility of the teacher to finalize that what kind of learning environment that I'm going to create for my student. So in these kind of classes, so in nutshell we consider these classes as active learning classrooms. So in these kind of classes, the student will become the locus point, or student will become the central agent of that particular class. So whatever the teacher is doing or whatever the teacher is planning, the major objective is that teacher is going to facilitate that process of learning. So rather than spoon feeding that information, or rather than providing a complete set of information to the student, the teacher will find out an path where the students are working in the presence of the faculty, and ultimately the student will be able to take in charge of that activity independently, maybe in teams, maybe in groups, or maybe an individual student is also confident enough to take part in an activity defined by the teacher. So ultimately we are developing the student. So that is why these kind of classes are considered as developmental classes. So teacher will design a target specific task. So when I'm saying target specific task means where the cognitive ability of the student, psychomotor ability of the student, and at the same time the response means the behavior of the student also comes into picture. So whenever the teacher is designing such kind of activities where cognitive, psychomotor and behavior comes into picture, the teacher will engage the students fully. So at the end of the session, the students will be able to create meaning and value of learning. Obviously, they are putting more effort, they are putting more time, they are discussing with each other, they know what they are doing. Learning is very meaningful and very reflective. So these kind of classes become a reflection based activity or immersive kind of an environment for the student. So from this, it is clear to us that in the time to come, requirements of the classroom are going to change because there is a different kind of demand from the different educational landscapes. So when it comes to the changing learning spaces, the second thing that we need to understand is that we are having new generation students with us in our classes. So yesterday we have covered that there are different kind of intelligence that may be available with me in class. There can be visual learners, there can be verbal learners, there can be naturalistic learners also, there can be students who demands to use their senses, so they are the kinesthetic learners. So like the learners having different kind of attitude, aptitude, personality, their motivation level may vary, and at the same time they have certain characteristics that are different from the faculty population. So when I'm saying the students characteristics are different from the faculty population, so I personally divided this into three different categories. That is, the students nowadays are connected more with social media. They are not just developing, they are not just using learning resources, but at the same time, the students are developing resources also, and they are also navigating information in a very fast rate and in a very fast speed. So when I'm saying new generation student, there may be more different characteristics you may observe in your classrooms, but largely the three different classifications are there. So when I'm saying a new generation student, so new generation student, it's a part of the case study that I have displayed on the screen for all of you. So in that particular case study, they are saying that when we are talking about new generation student, so the major characteristics comes out as they are mesh very closely with IT. IT means information technology, and it's increasing mobility. It's 24 into 7 availability, and it's increasing value as a communication tool. NetZen students are social, they are team oriented, comfortable with multitasking, and they generally positive in their outlook and have a hands-on let's build it approach, all encouraged by IT resources at their disposal. So NetGen students have embraced IT, using it in both ways, intended and unforeseen by the programmers. Their rapid and enthusiastic adoption of IT has in turn influenced its development, particularly with respect to web-based services. So when we are saying net generation student, they are connected more on social media. So first they were available on Facebook, and then they considered that Facebook is an obsolete platform. They shifted their approach to Instagram. Then nowadays students are saying Instagram is not an updated site, so they shifted themselves on X. So they are more into technology. They are more connected socially. They have number of groups in, maybe in their Telegram groups or maybe in their WhatsApp. They have number of social media groups. Those groups they are using not only for entertainment purposes but also for education purposes. So they are transferring information from one end to another end, whether you as a faculty know it or not, but they are transferring information that is provided to you to another student, maybe studying 500 kilometers away from your respective institution. So that is how they are integrating social media in teaching learning. So any information earlier when we were in the classes and there were notes or some reference material provided to us as a student, we have the tendency to go to the photocopier shop and get it photocopied. But nowadays whenever you provide a reference material to the student, the very first question they are going to ask is that whether this information is is available online. If it is available online, kindly provide us the web link. If that information is synthesized by the teacher from the different web resources, they ask for the soft copy. At that point of time, they will create a PDF and transfer the PDF to all the students, whether they are available in the classes or whether they are not available in the classes. Many of the teachers share their experiences that nowadays students are not in the habit of note taking in a classroom lectures. They simply put on the recorders on their digital devices. They record all the information that is delivered by the teacher, and they transfer that information by using various social media platforms to the different channels to the different student population. So when I'm saying that students are connected on social media, as a teacher we need to think of as a teacher we need to critically think that whether they are using social media just for entertainment purposes. If they are using social media for the transfer of information by using various platforms, what approach as a faculty I need to use in my class so that a vast and a good quality information can transfer from one end to another end. So that kind of approach need to be the part of our classroom environment also. The second major thing that we need to consider is students nowadays are able to generate resources. So here my question to all the faculty members, would you like to share your experiences where you come to know that there are many students who are generating resources while learning something from you? Any example from your side?
Ma'am, as we are searching various material through Google or Google Scholar, so students are using SciSpace and various other websites to exactly find out the information more, which is more precise. And when once we share any material with them that includes PPTs, they have some new versions to update the PPTs. For example, they are now into preparing PPTs through AI and converting chat gpt generated material through uh, they making it plagiarism free, and that is more relevant in the time bound manner.
Thank you very much, Vivek sir. So, rightly added by sir that student nowadays knows that how to save their time and effort, and they are able to convert PDF into PPTs, PowerPoint presentation. Whether they're using ethically or not, that is another point of discussion that we are going to cover today only after lunch in the session engaged by Dr. Jagriti Sani ma'am. But yes, students are aware of that these are the different open source platforms or media platforms available with us, by the use of which it is possible for me to convert the content into one form to another, and they are able to find out more precise and synthesized information. Day before yesterday only I was in contact with a student, and that student was working on Canva. Canva is a platform where the student can create their PDF, they can create their book formats, they can create their PPT presentations also. So that student is using that platform in a very efficient manner. There are few of the things that I want to learn from that particular candidate, that I was thinking the kind of proficiency, the kind of efficiency he has in handling that particular platform. So they are able to collect information, synthesize information, and then utilize that information in a various format. There are many of the students in our educational institutions nowadays having their own YouTube channels. They are recording videos, they are uploading videos, and there are number of followers for those channels. And these are not just gaming or other kind of videos. They are creating content that is related to education. There are students preferring that rather than listening to the faculty for 45 minutes, I will go to and find a video, simulation based video recorded lecture on different platform, and I will cover my content from that particular platform. So when I'm saying the students are able to find out the content and they're connected with each other, but at the same time they have the ability to generate resources. They are more tech savvy as compared to us. So the third major thing that we need to understand over here is, so first we said they are connected on social media, then we said they are able to generate their resources, and at the same time the students are able to uh, adapt space to their needs. So when I'm saying the students are able to adapt space to their needs, they are aware more of the kind of changes that is happening around us. So when I'm saying students are able to, nowadays there are many research study came up in li- there is research literature available, and you can also search for that. Student nowadays, when it comes to the selection of the profession, they do not want 9 to 5 jobs. They want flexible kind of a working environment. They are selecting their profession as per their choices and as per their passion. So when I'm saying adapt space to their needs, so we are talking about flexibility in education. Students are thinking ahead. They are talking about flexibility in working environment also. So they are more into the changing kind of a scenario, and their needs are different. So when I'm saying they are able to adapt their space as per their needs, so they always carry technology. Earlier the student may have one cell phone in their hand. Nowadays students are carrying 2 or 3 digital devices all day along in educational institution. It is up to the institution and up to the faculty how they are going to utilize the digital devices available with the student for teaching learning activities. Personalize. So when I'm saying personalize, and in the case study itself they mentioned that students are in the approach of let's build it, but at the same time they have generally a positive in outlook, and they have hands on let's build it approach, and they're very social, team oriented, and comfortable with multitasking. So when we are saying personalized, means the student is able to create their own personalized platform. They are able to create their own personalized spaces. So for example, in a classroom, when you observe after few days, maybe 15 to 20 days after the first semester, you will see the student have different kind of groups. So student, as per their choices, as per their interest, they make groups. So the when they start interacting or start interacting with the instructional resources, they communicate more with the group member as compared to asking questions to the faculty members. It means student created their personalized structure even in a classroom, where they are able to clarify the doubts, where they are able to discuss the content, where they are able to solve many of the problems by their own within the group without even asking to the faculty. So in a classroom maybe of 60 to 65 students, there are 4 to 5 groups the teacher can visibly identify. So as per their choices, as per their interest, they know that from where they will be able to solve their problem, and they commute on in these kind of group. The second major thing after the classroom, the first key takeaway, that in the time to come the requirement of the classrooms may be different. So we may have different infrastructure, we may have different kind of instructional planning, we may need to use different kind of pedagogical approaches as far as the classroom environment is concerned. Second key takeaway from this particular session is the new generation students are different. They are competing with each other but in a collaborative manner. So they want to have a team based, group based activity, so they are competing in a collaborative manner. So that kind of activities, that kind of tasks need to be there, so that it is easy for the teacher to assess and evaluate the student, and at the same time fulfill the requirement of the student as per their demands. The third major thing that we need to understand is the trends in education. So as per NEP 2020, when flexible credit system is being initiated in our country, and in many of the newspapers and in many of the articles, it is being written that India will become Vishwaguru in the time to come. So maybe after 2030 agenda to complete under SDG, we are covering many of the objective as far as educational institutions are concerned. Our education system from traditionally, it is changing to a flexible education system. So whenever wherever they want, so flexible credit system, ABC scoring, in entry exit of the student from a formal diploma or a degree program, these are the examples of whenever wherever they want. Student need diverse places of learning. Earlier, a concrete classroom is considered as a place where learning can take place. As information technology, ICT comes into picture, and we were in the business of developing various massive open online courses. There are number of private and government leaders who are working for the development of these kind of courses, it is possible for the student to learn something. It is possible for the student to earn a credit while sitting in their own personal spaces. So nowadays, a concrete classroom is not only the knowledge provider location for the student, even a personal laptop of the student, even the cafeteria, even the park area of your institute, even the home of the student can become a learning space for that candidate. So there are number of options available with the student to select from where they want to learn that information. So, in education, flexible kind of learning need to be there, and diverse places of learning need to be there. So, in nutshell, when we are talking about next generation student, and we are saying they are competing with each other, but at the same time, they are collaborating with each other. It means they need group based classes. If not group based, there may be team based activities that can be given to the students. So in group based activities, they want cooperation, collaboration, and support from the faculty. So the learning space requirements may be the infrastructure facilities where small of group of the student can sit together, discuss, and complete that activity or assignment. So it can be a virtual whiteboard, it can be screen sharing, it can be IM chats. So there are number of IT platforms available to or do these kind of activities also in online environment. Second, the next generation student want the objective of that learning. So why this particular subject is being introduced to me? If flexibility in education is provided, the choice is available with the student that in what course, in what subject, in what semester he or she wants to enroll in the time to come. So goal and achievement orientation will be decided by the student. So for this, a formative means continuous assessment. Say for example, yoga and meditation is a compulsory subject, human values is a compulsory subject, environmental sciences is a compulsory subject. It can be non-credit or it can be in the form of audit courses, but for such kind of courses it may not be the summative evaluation or the final theory paper in the time to come. It's a continuous assessment related to the performance of the student. So for these kind of activities or for these kind of goal and achievement oriented subjects, we need to have tutors, that consultant faculty members to whom the student can assess as and when she wants to, or a schedule need to be decided by the institute. So maybe e-portfolio can be developed, maybe online formative quizzes can be developed at the institute level. When we are saying the students are able to perform number of activities in a time, it means they are very active. So they need the kind of tools in which they can search for information, they can synthesize information, and they can come up with a new, or they are able to reproduce information again. Experimental trial and error, so there can be multiple learning paths. So when I'm saying multiple learning path, the teacher must be able to create a practical kind of experience in a classroom. Classroom means in a theory lecture. So when the teacher is using case study method of analysis, when the teacher is using demonstration method, when the teacher is using Relalia as an object, when the teacher is using simulation based activity in a classroom environment, when there are virtual laboratories in your institutions, when AI labs being set up in the institution where the advanced kind of content is available with the student. So student may have experiences the different kind of investigations by their own, because content facility is provided by the institution in their campus. Application for analysis and research, heavy reliance on network access. So internet facility, electricity facility, the kind of basic infrastructure resources is the demand of today's learning environment. So likewise, visual, interactive, so all these are the characteristic that next generation student wants to be the part of this particular environment. Now the question arises that when these kind of experiences or these kind of infrastructure facilities available in the institute, what kind of learning is going to be happened? So before I'm going into the detail of this particular part, we move forward to the activity that we have provided all of you yesterday, that what are the different challenges faced by you when it comes to select teaching method, media, or strategy. So any faculty, because that input will help me to define the next discourse of this particular lecture.
Ma'am, may I add something?
Yes, Vivek, sure.
Ma'am, first it should be there is a challenge of digital literacy. I mean, first use and applications are they have to be implementation of technology can be costly, requiring ongoing maintenance and updates. So first, faculty has to be updated first. They themselves have to be updated. Beside, the technology has to should have equal access to everyone. There should be not be any digital divide among class, so that some students can have some good gadgets, and apart from that, there has to be time slots, because digital implementation of digital integrating technology requires additional planning and implementation of time, and there must be some time slots which are to be provided for these classes.
So thank you very much, Vivek sir. Sir not only mentioned the different challenges that is faced by the faculty, but also the solution in terms of the additional planning and time management. So thank you very much, Vivek sir, for the input.
Thank
Any
you, ma'am.
another member who would like to add something?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, sir.
Madam, I'm from Global College. Madam, what I feel is that when we are using internet platform for delivering something to the students, they take it very lightly, ma'am. They
Okay.
thought that everything is available with us also. Anytime we are able to assess it, we can able to use it. So while faculty is teaching in the class, they are taking it very lightly, ma'am. They're not giving their keen interest towards the thing which faculty is teaching, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. So, very rightly added by both of the participants that when it comes to the use of the technology and creation of the learning environment, first digital literacy, digital dividend, time scheduling or additional planning for the utilization of these kind of resources. And coordinator from Global College of Engineering and Technology added that when the information is available with the student very easily on different online resources, the classroom engagement may be very low. So, from this particular discussion, we come to the point that when it comes to the integration of technology, the very first thing is the IT resources must be available with the faculty at institute level, and there must be some policy of utilizing those resources for the student population also. So, how the students with whom these resources are not available, the institute is providing support to them, and at the same time, when the information is already available, is there any need for the teacher to repeat that content again and again rather than utilizing the classes for activity based sessions? So that need to be think upon by the teacher itself. So when it comes to the creation of these kind of learning environment in the changing learning spaces, the very first thing that we need to consider is that instruction is going to be delivered in a very systematic manner. So when I'm saying the instruction must be delivered in a very systematic manner means whatever experiences or whatever learning kind of environment the teacher want to create, first you need to identify that what form of knowledge is it, conceptual, abstract, or what form of procedural knowledge. So what form of knowledge you want to develop among the student population, up to what level, is it at level 1, level 2, level 3, or advanced level? So what kind of skill you are going to develop among student population, and is it possible for my student to apply these learnings later on in their world of work? So under these conditions, or if these can be the broader objectives defined by the faculty, maybe the requirement of instructional planning and delivery will vary. So when I'm saying the systematic experiences means started from level 0 up to the advanced level, the teacher needs to think of that what kind of experiences my student need to have for a subject under consideration. Say for example, the subject of human resource management. So human resource management is not only the understanding of the managerial skill at the part of the student, but how to manage those resources that are available. So that also be the application of that particular subject. So is it case study method, is it role play method, or do I need to call industrial experts? Do I need to call HR people at my institution to provide a feel to my student that what is the implication of this particular subject when you later on go to the world of work? For the subject of environmental sciences, for the subject of environment, other wastewater resources, or any subject of this kind, that is essential for understanding of our day to day life. So when the student is reading or student is trying to undergo the content, what kind of experiences is being created by the teacher? So rather than giving them the theory lectures again and again, are there small assignments that we are going to give to the student that they are going to perform in a field or at institute level? So that need to be think of, that if student population, student demands are changing, what kind of, and information is already available, as a teacher how I'm going to utilize all this information for my student population? So ultimately we focused for these kind of classes more on constructivism and social constructivism. Social constructivism means the student will go for an information when the process of delivering that information is very active by nature. Active by nature means when what the students are doing, if they are able to find out the meaning of that particular learning, they will be actively engaged in that process of learning. So when the education system is providing them a choices of selection of the different subject, audit courses or other elective courses, it means students are actively thinking upon that information to find out the meaning of their learning. So these two theories talk about the active engagement of the student in their day-to-day learning process. So in a classroom environment, when the students are asking questions to each other, yesterday post lunch also, when Dr. Paramjit Kaur Tulsi ma'am was engaging session, she said when it comes to an assessment, there are many tools available, and the very good tool that a faculty can utilize on day-to-day basis is questioning. But teacher need to understand how to frame a question, how to ask a question, and how to answer the question statement for the student. So when the classes are full of question, there is a constructivism, means the knowledge is being constructed by the students in a class. When they are thinking about that information, when they are reframing information, they are restructuring the information that may be delivered by the faculty, or maybe they are navigating information from the different resources, and teacher is framing question and asking to them, they are able to synthesize that information in a more constructive manner. So the very first thing that we need to understand is, even if you do not have much resources available in your institution as far as IT resources are concerned, if you are able to frame good questions from the content, ask those application based questions to the student, it is possible for you to construct knowledge in classroom with the help of the student. So it is about how we make sense of our word that really has not changed, means what kind of learning experiences, what kind of real life experiences need to be the part of your classroom environment. The good, it is being said that a good teacher is able to create humor in a class, a good teacher is able to create questions in a class, a good teacher is able to have artful pauses in a class, so that the students can think upon, student can process the amount of information delivered by the teacher. It is not that if for 45 minutes you are here with your student, your only objective is to cover the syllabus. You can cover the syllabus with the proper planning, but at the same time the understanding of that part also need to be there with the student. So classes must be full of question. If IT resources are available, very good discussion platform, there are many media tools available by which we can engage student. If not, traditionally questioning can also help us to construct knowledge. And when it comes to the changing learning spaces, and we are saying that offline online both learning environments are the part of today's learning spaces, the very two pertinent question as per me that we all need to answer is, what social engagement and processes provide proper context for the learners? So when I'm saying the team based activities, group based activities, how we are going to create these kind of social engagements in our institute? So that need to be think of, and what form of co-participation might be required when engaging learners in these forms of learning. So when an individual student is appearing for assessment, it is very easy for me to assess. When a team of students are appearing or a group of students are appearing in front of me for assessment, there may be different kind of a tool, there may be different kind of approach that can be utilized. So I'm searching for a group behavior, I'm searching for collaboration delivered by the student in a group, I'm searching for what kind of co-participation help the students in that particular team to come up with the content or come up with the conclusion of that information. So when we are saying that these kind of learning spaces require more rigorous planning. These kind of learning spaces require more infrastructure resources, more effort at the part of the faculty, more commitment at the part of the student population. So when we are saying the changing learning spaces and content is available with the student, so what kind of self discipline, what kind of self regulation need to be the part of the behavior of the student, and how we can modify that kind of behavior. So these questions that we need to answer and think upon at our departmental level before engaging the student. So the one solution can be the development of different learning communities. So learning communities means they can be three different types of learning community. One is communities of practice, second can be community of inquiry, or third can be knowledge community. So learning community basically means the group of the students who are able to learn together, they are able to share information with each other. How it is going to be happen when there is a good interpersonal relationship exist between those group members or team members. Only then it is possible for us to create a good learning community. It means somewhere in a classroom environment, it is not only the formal discussion but also the informal discussion needs to be happen. The teacher need to share his or her own experiences. There may be few times maybe the story illustration, few times maybe the humor, few times maybe the day to day problems of the society need to be discussed with the students, so that we are able to create that kind of social skills among students, so that they can create a collegial working environment at institute level. So when it comes to the development of the community, first foremost, as a faculty, no faculty will work in isolation for these kind of learning spaces. There are group of the faculty members who are developing a subject for the student. Initially subjects earlier so not initially earlier the subject being distributed as per the expertise available with the faculty. Nowadays when it comes to the introduction of a new subject, because technology is changing a lot, so there are every day there is a new content, new concept is being given to the student. So the content or the subject need to be developed within the faculty community. So it is not only the student will work in groups and team. In the time to come, the faculty also need to cooperate and collaborate with each other for the development of subjects, or at a smaller level maybe for the development of different content. So that community is the knowledge community, so they are focusing on developing knowledge among student population. And when it comes to the community knowledge community in student population, there may be students in your class whose IQ ability is very high, they are very self disciplined, they are very self regulated. So those can be the student that can be utilized for flipped classroom kind of a culture. So those students will be able to cover the content and pass on that information to the fellow students also. So the teacher need to identify who are the student, those can become the part of the development of the knowledge or the content development. Next is the community of practice, focus on developing the professional practices that is happening in the world of work, that need to be very in line. So departments need to work very efficiently with training and placement cell and come to know that what are the requirements of the world of work. So as per the requirements of the world of work, the department or the faculty member need to map information and content delivered to the student, focus on inquiring about inquiring about on different issues and areas. So when it comes to the development of the world class campuses, it may be administration, it may be your teaching or knowledge, or it may be the research that comes into picture. So practice help us to develop all these kind of skills among student population. So in changing learning communities, we need to think of that what kind of communities we will be able to develop with the help of our student population. So why does the term learning space, what does the term learning space mean? Why we are not using classrooms instead nowadays? Because classroom were the primary locus for learning in higher education. Other spaces included the library, the faculty offices for individual mentoring, and perhaps the cafe in the town. But classrooms were by far the single most important space for learning, which is not true nowadays. There are many learning spaces available with the student because of the integration of digital landscape in education system. And as a teacher, we need to think of that how we can utilize these learning spaces not only for the benefit of the student but also for the development of us as faculty. So in the time to come, the new lecture hall may be a smart board, laptop and mobile at hand, not only with the faculty but also with every student of your class. Faculty members recording the voice and upload it on the website. Notes written in on the board given to the student as a printout. So these kind of podium facilities available in our institute, that is NITR Chandigarh. Maybe in the time to come, all the institutions are able to diversify their IT needs. So another scenario may be a teacher goes to the podium computer, click on the few links and soon a video conferencing session is displayed on the right hand screen. She has arranged to have a colleagues of her drop in on the class to discuss a point and that colleague's particular area of expertise. The class has a conversation with an expert who is at large research institution more than 500 miles away. Students listen to the expert comment and are able to pose questions using one of the three cordless microphones available in the class. On the left hand screen, the visiting professor shows some images and charts that help explain the concept under the discussion. So as a teacher, we need to identify the needs of the collaborative learning spaces. So using laptops and other network devices, students and faculty are increasingly able to carry their entire working environment with them. To capitalize on this, campus organization must work collaboratively to create a more integrated working environment for the student and for the faculty, one that better serves the mobile nets and student as well as a faculty faced with the initial influx of these students into their rank. So at last, when we talk about the world class infrastructure in our country where not much resources are available, the thing on which we can focus is the development of different e-communities. So as a teacher, we must know our learners available in a class. There must be policy guidelines developed at institute level where few of netiquette's rule. Netiquette rule means how the students are going to utilize different IT resources or maybe internet services available in the institute. Those rules must be defined under policy by every institution and enforce their student to follow those rules. The institute may serve for appropriate packages as far as technological resources are concerned. The teacher must be able to develop good interpersonal relationship with the student, and collaboratively they will be able to create a learning space. The institute must work on the development of tailor-made content, and there is an approach of let them work rather than spoon feeding information, and if desired supplement information at the part of the student. So these are few of the references that I have utilized for preparing this PowerPoint presentation.